Hello everyone, welcome to Urbanscape Bangalore. In this episode, we will look at one of the most easiest indoor plants anyone can grow, the ZZ or the Zamioculcas zamiifolia. This video will be divided in segments where I will be giving you some basic information in the beginning, some repotting tips, some care tips, and finally, we will look at what my friend has to say about his new ZZ plant and what he does to look after it. So let's first learn some facts about the ZZ, courtesy Wikipedia. So the ZZ is an aroid which is native to some parts of Africa. Though it is a flowering plant, it is primarily grown for its foliage. They have glossy green leaves and they also come in a shade of black, and that plant is called the ZZ raven. The name Zamio comes from its resemblance to the cycad Zamia, and the Culcas comes from its association with the Colocasia plant, which is also an aroid. The plant has these modified stems called rhizomes that hold a lot of water, making it a very drought-tolerant plant. This has undergone some lethality studies, and it was found that the plant is not lethal even though most aroids are toxic. It has great air purifying abilities and removes toxic compounds like benzene, toluene, xylene, etc. And a commonly googled question is whether the ZZ causes cancer. This is absolutely wrong. Now let's move on to repotting this ZZ plant I had in my east facing bathroom into this big beautiful terracotta container. So if you like what you see, then you can find the product link below and also read the transparency clause before you click the link. For the potting mix, I'm adding 50% sand, 40% compost and 10% cocoa chips. Add the plant and backfill. Water the plant, and here I'm also using some seaweed fertilizer to give it some nitrogen for good foliar growth. Also, since this will be kept indoors, I will be top dressing it with some crushed white gravel. I have kept this in a north facing side and I will give you the update in the later parts of the video. Now let's look at some important care tips for growing this plant indoors. Sunlight. Now this is one plant that I can without fear say is an excellent or the best low light plant. Even if you have just a tube light that gives this plant some light, it will grow, but remember that it will not thrive and give you that prolific growth we all desire. So to make your ZZs grow longer, what you can do is to grow them outdoors in a well-lit balcony facing the east or the west. Once they grow really big, like how this one did, you can grow them indoors. Too much sunlight can burn or bleach the plant. The ideal position indoors for this plant would be south, east or west, and north would be fine too. Watering. Now another thing that can bring a smile on a lot of gardeners' faces is that this plant can live without water for months together. The rhizome acts as a water reservoir, and this plant you see in this picture survived 4 months of neglect during the lockdown when its owner had to shift back to his hometown. It just survived on the little rainfall that would reach the balcony courtesy the wind. So this plant is a survivor. But as a routine, you can water the plant once the soil becomes bone dry or water it once every 2 weeks. Fertilizer. To fertilize the plant, you can add 3 to 4 drops of seaweed solution in a liter of water. Avoid using compost for indoor plants due to mold buildup. Outdoor ZZs can be fertilized with compost. Potting mix. Since the plant has a high water content, ensure that the potting mix is well draining. You can use your own mix or follow the instructions as given earlier. Cleaning the leaves. The leaves hold a lot of dust very quickly, mostly because of its shiny appearance, and cleaning the leaves will allow it to breathe a little more easily. Use a wet cloth to clean the leaves or give it a good shower once in a while. Propagation. You can propagate this from stem cuttings, plant divisions, and leaves as well. I will be covering this some other time. Pests. This is quite pest resistant compared to your other indoor plants. Leaf curling. Leaf curling can occur due to some kind of stress due to less or more water, or even due to a lot of sunlight. Plant selection. When you go to the nursery for an instant impact, you can buy a big plant because this plant is a very slow grower. Also, if you can buy multiple plants or stems like this in one container, you will get a more bushier look that makes the ZZ more attractive. So this is after 3 or 4 months of repotting the earlier ZZ, and you can see since the plant was kept in the north facing side, it hasn't grown all big or bushy. So this shows that lack of sunlight can sustain this plant but will not allow it to grow bigger and bushier. And also, never leave your ZZ for dead because sometimes they tend to go into dormancy and the leaves will completely disappear but will spring up nonetheless. So keep tending to your plant and maybe reduce watering for some time when it's in this dormancy phase. So now let us look at my friend Reynolds' experience growing the ZZ plant. Hi Reynolds.
Hi.
So, in this episode, we will be talking about the ZZ plant. So, I just wanted to know your take on the ZZ because you're a newbie gardener, right?
That's right.
And how many months has it been since you started gardening?
It's just been a little over 2 months.
A little over 2 months. So, how do you find the ZZ plant as an indoor plant and as a newbie gardener as well?
Honestly, I'm somebody who does not put in a lot of efforts into the things that I do, and ZZ is it's kind of easy to maintain, and it needs less water, so I didn't water it every day, and it needs only low light, right? So, and that is.
And what about the pest problems?
Oh yeah, right. When it comes to that, it's free from the bug attacks or the
Okay.
pest attacks, rather. And otherwise, I think I'm enjoying it because I've kept one on my work table
Okay.
and where I sit and work every day. And at times I water because I always keep a water bottle close to that from which I drink. So that way it's very easy. It's less effort.
Yeah. And so, how frequently do you water the ZZ?
Once in 4 days or once in 5 days.
Okay, once in 4 days or 5 days. So, what do you generally do to gauge whether the plant needs water or not?
So, can I demonstrate? So, just to show you how I check the level of water, right? So, I just place my index finger on the surface, and if it is still wet, right? So, you'll have some grainy sand particles stuck to your index finger. And if it's this, if you get this when you put your hand onto the soil, then it is it still has water, it's retaining water.
Yeah.
And most of the times when I do that, it will be dry.
Okay.
And what I was doing earlier was accidentally I would pour more water thinking that it's devoid of water, it does not have any water. But then I came to know about this, that it actually it's only the top surface that actually is dry sometimes, whereas beneath that there is still water, there would be water.
Correct.
And I've
So
actually
what is
killed
the-
a few plants like that in the past.
Okay.
By overwatering, and this is something that
So,
we
the
learned
better
in-
indicator would be to put your finger inside
Oh,
a
right.
little more deeper.
Okay.
Yes. And then now take it out and see if the soil is really wet,
It is.
right? It's clinging on to your
Right.
finger.
Right.
So this is when you know that there is enough water and there is high water saturation.
Right.
So you don't have to water it at all.
Okay. Thanks for the tip. I wish all your viewers a great weekend and happy gardening.
Thank you for coming along and sharing your experience with the ZZ plant and showing us that ZZ is easy. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
So I hope with this fledgling experience from a newbie gardener, most of your fence sitters can paint your thumb green soon by making this your first indoor plant that can kickstart a wonderful and fulfilling journey in pursuit of true garden happiness. So with this, we've come to the end of yet another episode of Urbanscape Bangalore, and I really hope you've enjoyed this particular program. Additionally, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. The links are given below. And remember, to grow slow is to grow well. Thank you for watching, and until we meet again, a very warm goodbye.